about the 9 parts of your plan to make an outstanding first impression. Let's take a look. That's right, plan. We plan lots of things. How seldom do we actually plan how to make a great first impression? And I have 9 tips for you today on exactly how to do that, because do you know how much time you have to actually make a positive, outstanding first impression? That's it. 10 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. Count them down. That's not very much time to make a great first impression. So let's get right into this. The first thing you need to do, be nice to everyone. Now, be nice on the way as you're going there, because the last thing you want to do is be all worked up over road rage because some jerk on the road cut you off or something bad happened on the way to work. You want to be nice to everybody on the way. You want to be nice to everybody in the parking lot. There's the oft-told story, a true one, of the young man coming for a job interview, and he cut somebody off in the parking lot so he could get a better parking space closer to the entrance to the building. And after he got in and waited for a while and went in to his job interview, he discovered that the person he had cut off was the person doing the interview. So you can kind of guess what happened there. So you want to be nice inside the building as well. The people you meet that are there, people who are employees of the building, guards, receptionists, security people, the other folks around. To the receptionist particularly, as you get in there, you want to be nice to her. You want to be nice to others waiting for their job interview as well. And as a tip, stay off that cell phone. And arrive early. Get there early. Now, when is early? Early is 10 minutes. 10 minutes early is being on time. Don't be too much earlier than that, and do not get there at the last minute, right on the dot, and do not be late. Next tip, dress for success. Here's a true story. I have a very good friend who had been an executive in Hewlett-Packard, and after she retired, she was working for a significant medical care facility hospital in the area, and they were looking to hire a new registered nurse. So they had scheduled a number of interviews to talk to certain people, and somebody showed up who had all the right qualifications. Their resume was fabulous. Great credentials, great experience, great references, but this is how she showed up. I'm not kidding. She showed up dressed like this. Why? Because she was going to an event immediately following her job interview, in which she was working with some children as a clown. Now, that was a noble thing to do. I'm certainly not implying that it wasn't a noble thing to do, but it was the wrong scheduling. You don't do that. And needless to say, she didn't get the job because she failed to dress appropriately and to demonstrate that she could plan her schedule appropriately so that these two things did not conflict. So here are my 6 tips for dressing appropriately on your job interview. Wear professional attire. In last week's episode, I talked about researching your company before you go there. This is where that research begins to find real-life application. And what you need to do is look at that research and see what people are wearing in this particular company that you're going to work for. A lot of it has to do with the type of job that you're going to apply for. You want to dress appropriately for that. If you're going to work for a big box store, suit and tie is not in the offing unless you're working in the headquarters office in Atlanta or somewhere other big city. If you're going to work in one of the retail outlets of the store, you're going to wear something different. So you're going to find out by your research what is professional attire for that particular establishment. You're going to wear minimal jewelry. Don't pile it on. And don't overdo in that. You're going to wear minimal perfume and cologne. Remember that people are often allergic to colognes and perfumes, and so you don't want to set off an asthma attack. You don't want to set off a problem by wearing too much of the stuff. No visible body art or piercings, depending on part of the world you're in. That's changing a little bit here, a little bit. And so you want to be aware of what is the custom in the place that you're going to. And if you have body art down on your arms, you might want to wear long sleeve shirts if you think that might be an issue. And piercings might be an issue as well. So just be very careful about that. No high heels and no tennis shoes. Unless you're going to apply for a sporting goods store, then tennis shoes might be appropriate. Just wear comfortable shoes. Sandals, probably not a good idea. Unless you're here in Florida, then often that's the case. and no clown costumes. And what all of that means is this: do not dress for the next event in your day. Dress for this event. You may have other things going on after your job interview, but you need to schedule time as you're planning all of this to change if you have something different. You want to dress for this event. Next tip: be organized and be prepared. You see this little fella here, and you see down there in that briefcase that he's all messed up and he doesn't have his organization put together when he goes in, and so he's going to dig through stuff and pile through stuff, and he's going to look quite unprepared. So here's some tips for this. This means extra copies of your resume and references, nicely presented, not wrinkled, not stained, not damaged in any way. Bring a working and professional looking pen. It's a bad habit some of us have of chewing on the end of a pen, and you don't want to use that. What would you do if they ask you, could I use your pen, and you hand them a pen that you'd been chewing on? You want a working, professional-looking pen if you're going to take notes, if you need to make reference to something. And then you need to remember no coffee cups. You may have stopped and had one on the way, and no chewing gum. Don't walk into the interview room with either. You do not want the first things that come out of your mouth to be, where is a trash can so I can get rid of this coffee cup or so I can spit out my chewing gum. You do not want that to happen. Turn your phone off, not just on vibrate. Turn it off. Better yet, leave it in the car. Those things are such a distraction, and you can stand it. You can stand the few minutes that you're waiting there for your interview not to have that phone. And make sure that your portfolio, your purse, or your briefcase is free of clutter. If you are asked to retrieve something, another document, perhaps your references, you don't want to pile through all sorts of stuff just trying to get it. Next tip: enter the room confidently. How you walk in the room says a lot. So you want to walk in with confidence, standing upright, looking like you belong there. Look that person in the eye if that's the culture in which you are. Now, in some cultures, that's not appropriate, but if it is appropriate in your culture, look that person in the eye. Make the first move. Extend your hand for a handshake. Don't wait for them. Introduce yourself. Hello, my name is. And speak with confidence. Smile. Look like you're comfortable. You may be terrified. You may be nervous. You may be anxious, but smile and look confident. And then remain standing until the interviewer asks you to be seated. And the next thing you can do, look comfortable, even if you aren't. Don't fidget in your seat and wiggle back and forth. Stay off that blasted device. If you've got a phone or a tablet, don't look at it. Don't hold it in your hand. Don't fiddle with it, and don't let it ring or an alarm go off. Make sure that device is put away. Sit up straight in your chair and avoid crossing your arms. People who study body language say crossing one's arms tends to mean you're reserved and you are resistant. So you don't want to look that way. The next tip: pay attention to speech patterns. You want to speak clearly, and you want to take your cue from how your interviewer speaks. For instance, if he speaks slowly and you speak quickly, you might want to slow down your speech pattern to match his. If somebody speaks very casually and informally, you might want to take your cue from that and somewhat relax in your formal style. Just sort of begin to investigate and understand, have some insight into what's going on in that room, and decide what's the right way to speak to this person. And the next tip: make a connection with them. Use the research you did on the company and make some appropriate remarks. Don't sound stilted. Don't sound unnatural. Practice this in making natural comments. Perhaps you will see, if you look for clues in the office, you might see perhaps a diploma from a certain university or college, and you have some association or understanding or connection with that, and make some appropriate comment about that. If you see photos of the person's family on their desk, make some appropriate comments about their family and your family. Be natural, conversational, and try to make a connection with the person that you're interviewing with. And finally, never forget why they are hiring. They are not hiring because you need a job. They are not hiring because they have money to spend foolishly. They are hiring because they have a problem that needs to be solved. They need to enhance their profitability, and so they are looking for someone, that's you, to do both. And that's what you want to do. Show them how in your interview you can do both.